Fellas, it's Eric Bugenhagen, better known as Dr. Density, reporting in for another TV talk. Hasn't been done in a while. Why hasn't it been done in a while? Because I have this electronic drum set right below the camera. I don't want to show you guys, it'll ruin my freaking angle. But what I have resting on this electronic drum set is some freaking new colors for thick horsecock pump covers. Salmon, the light blue, and a gorgeous pistachio. Anyways, you can say, what does this have to do with anything? Rick De La Stick? Okay, it's the fact that I've been dilly-dallying with the drums, eating up all my time. Therefore, I haven't been doing these television talks, nor have I been horsecocking massive loads of the way I would have liked to, because that's so much energy is going into double bass drumming. I guess I'm just absolutely spent. It's a problem. I'm going to have to resolve it. But am I going to be a pencil neck? Am I going to be a pencil neck and just not work out and take the day off? No. I got to pick up the wife and daughter in an hour. So it's like, well, holy freaking buckets, man. Am I going to clean the house or am I going to work out? You know what I'm saying? So I cleaned the freaking house. And it's like, damn, I don't have any time to work out. But that's the logic of Peter Pencil Neck, okay? Because it doesn't matter what you do. It's how you freaking do it. And I'll tell you guys something right now. I would put you up to the challenge I even have a pencil neck weight of 20 pounds. I would say grab a 20-pound dumbbell and don't stop moving it for an hour and see if you have the best freaking workout of your life. Yes, it's that freaking simple, guys. It doesn't require Johnny Philosophist theology to get through a workout. You know what I'm saying? It just requires a freaking game plan and a goal. A goal like, hey, I'm going to not stop moving this dumbbell for 1 hour. Now, would you get super far in life if that's all you did? Well, you might be chiseled and rock hard like a piece of granite. Probably not, though, because there's like no freaking game plan with it, other than I guess if you eventually moved up to a 25. You'd have curvaceous freaking delts and bis for sure, but you would maybe not progress so much with the freaking, tries and chest, and you get what I'm saying, because you don't have a big enough load. But my point is, guys, you can make something out of anything, okay? When you're throwing a curveball, is it a gift or is it a curse? It's a freaking gift, man. It was a curveball. You weren't expecting this ball to be so curved coming at you, but it's not a bad thing because it makes you freaking get outside your comfort zone. It's like when people get injured, and I can totally relate to it now. Sticky Ricky, I just had ACL surgery. What am I gonna do, to not become a pencil neck and lose all my gains? It's like, brother, this could be one of the greatest curveballs that you've ever experienced in your life, because what it's going to do is it's going to force you to stop training the way you've been doing for years or whatever, and it's going to make you, be forced to, I've had 2 different knee surgeries, right? None related to horsecocking massive loads. So don't get twisted. But both times when I come out of the other end of it and I was clear to get back into action, max horsecockery, I always ended up being stronger in the end and better for it. I leveled up in a sense because it got me to do fresh out of surgery, you can't move any weight. So it's like, all right, well, I'm going to do freaking, 10-pound dumbbells and do them for sets of 100. You know what I mean? Just stupid shit that you would never normally do. And why would you normally do it? Because it sounds dumb. But when you start incorporating the little things like that, anything that goes against what you normally do, it always ends up being a freaking blessing. So right now, wife and daughter, got to get them in an hour. Don't have much time, but I wanted to make this freaking video because a lot of people were commenting to me saying, Sticky Ricky, Jeff Nippard just came out with a new video, and it's essentially about you. And I'm like, okay, if that's true, then I got to watch it with the fellas, And I stopped really reviewing his rankings, exercise rankings, because it was just the same thing over and over again. It was hot, nice, hot, trendy video at first, or it was not trendy, that's not the word I'm looking for. It was just it was fun, right? But ranking after ranking after ranking, it just ended up being the same thing. The bread and butter basics were always B tier, and made up exercises were S tier. It's just whatever. It is what it is. It's not my battle to fight. You know what I'm saying? Everything is a freaking tool. Everything works. But does that mean that because you have some new fancy schmancy corkscrew twist to Rooney, you should get rid of a freaking hammer and a nail? No. hammer and nail is going to get you so far in life. So is a Phillips head screwdriver, you know what I mean? But new tools will help, but it doesn't mean that the old tools aren't cool because these new tools are so freaking fancy, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's check it out here. Science lifters are under attack. Science sucks! Just the antithesis of Bill Nye the Science Guy. That would be Bill Nye the Science Guy in 2024. You know, the science rules. 2024, science sucks! Bill Nye the Science Guy. All right, anyways, thumbnail, Jeff getting his ass whooped, black eye and all. So it makes me think that, I mean, science lifters are under attack. You know, I'm already going to rebuttal that. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that, and I saw so many comments like, people are against science. No one's against science, guys. I mean, some people are, but not. I'm certainly not, okay? I'm against bullshit theories that just don't work, okay? And that's not to say all this stuff's bullshit, but like, my whole point is like, guys, like, you know, slow eccentrics and ultra range of motion and stuff like that. There's nothing new with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, freaking 15 years ago, I had the Charles Poliquin. I discovered him, or so around there. Maybe it was like even longer. And it was all about like tempo training and stuff. And it's like, you know, 3 second eccentric, 2 second pause, explode up, 1 second pause, 3 second eccentric. And I swear I was never as weak in my life as when I was training that way. And when I go look at a lot of the comments in these new videos too, it's like, I bought into the science fad for the past year, and I hate to say I made no progress, no gains, all right, until I started going back to the basics or whatever. And that's kind of been my experience as well. But of course, some people are like, oh, I made hella gains doing the science. And again, it doesn't really matter what you do, it's how you do it. It's what you buy into. It's what you are excited to do. It's the freaking enthusiasm that you bring to it. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's gonna take you to the moon, right? There's no perfect program. There's only a perfect program for you. Because theoretically, if it was a perfect program, but you hated doing it, you dreaded going to the gym, you didn't put, you know, 1,000% gusto into it because it didn't get you freaking excited, didn't get the goosebumps flowing, the arm hair raising, you know what I'm saying? Then you'd probably be better off horsecocking massive loads. Like for me, for instance, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind doing pencil neck shit, guys. You know what I mean? I don't mind doing it. But it has to be like the finisher in my training. It can't be what my days revolve around because it doesn't excite me. And again, I can't speak for everyone because some people probably just totally get off on analytics and stuff. You know, like, oh my God, like look at the 6% increase degree of incline. You know what I'm saying? And if that gets them freaking enthusiastic and hungry for life, then holy buckets, man. That's what you should stick to doing because that's a freaking raw, organic feeling, that enthusiasm, you know? Excitement. You know, I think we live in a day and age where people are starving for energy, you know, energy drinks, 5-hour energies, pre-workouts and all that. People are starving for energy. But really more so I think what it is nobody has any enthusiasm. And that's why it feels like a lack of energy. But you know what? You can take the strongest freaking pre-workouts in the world and yeah, you have your freaking heart beating, heart freaking clicking and taking 1,000 miles per hour, but it's still not going to make you want to horsecock well, I can't say that. It does make me want to horsecock, but it's not going to make everyone want to get their ass to the gym, you know? And I can speak from experience right now because with this freaking drum set right here, I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, guys, but for the past few days, my workouts were lackadaisical and they sucked. Why? Because I would suck down some Ricky's Rotund Raspberry and I would, instead of immediately going to the gym, I would immediately go to the drums and just freaking bang the skins for like an hour or two. And then afterwards, I'm like, damn, I really got to start working out now. But the raw enthusiasm and energy and passion was going into the skins, you know what I'm saying? So that when I was going to the horsecock the weights, like all that excitement was gone in that sense. Now, was I in an energy deficit. No, I just blew my wad with excitement on something, different for now. And my point is, you need to, like, just how I'm banging the skins is fresh and exciting and new. If your training feels lackadaisical and half-assed and, it's like, it's just not optimal, I'm not making any progress. There is no optimal. I think you just need to find something that gets you excited, gets you freaking enthusiastic to want to do. Like, for instance, I'll be honest, maybe it's because I horse-cocked, massive loads, week after week after week after week after week, but it's not getting my motor humming right now. You know what I mean? I was actually more excited, guys, believe this or not, but I wanted to make this video, that was the plan, but I was like, damn, talk about freaking two birds with one stone. This is the quintessential two birds with one stone. I get to make this video, but I'm not excited about this. I'm more excited to see if I can just keep this dumbbell moving for a freaking hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm enthusiastic about. That's what I'm excited about. And it's totally different. It doesn't make any sense. It's all junk volume. It's like, well, you're freaking Peter Pencilneck, bro. That's why you think that way. You think that, like, you go to freaking wrestling practice and it's you mano-a-mano tussling against another human being. It's not max effort. It's not methodical. It's not sets of 8 to 12. It's just freaking movement for an hour, 2 hours or so. And you'll never be as drained, as cooked in your life. And it's like, how does this make sense? How am I so sore? I didn't do sets of 8 to 12 with, 90% intensity. It won't even make sense, 90%. It's a stupid idiot thing I'm saying. But do you get what I'm saying? The intensity, it's like, the freaking stretch wasn't great. It was all short range of motion stuff. No lengthened stretches. And you get what I'm saying? People are overthinking it way too much. It's just doing something that pushes yourself, that makes you excited. That's the key. That's literally the key for fitness. Because it's a freaking marathon, it's not a sprint. It doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna have, some people might if they have very low standards, but you're never, no you won't, because it's never enough, right? It's like with money. The rich want to only just keep getting richer. Most people aren't like, I don't need to make any more money. It's like with gains, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never just make gains and like, I'm happy, like I'm, you know what I mean? There's always something more you want, whether it's to get bigger, whether it's wants to get leaner or whatever. So it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It doesn't just happen with one training program. You know what I mean? Say this training program gets you to where you want to be, great. Is that training program gonna keep getting you, year after year after year? Probably not. Because you're gonna fizzle out, you're gonna lose the enthusiasm, you're gonna lose the excitement. You know what I mean? And it's like with me, all I wanna do is horsecock massive loads, but there's times where I wanna just grab a 20-pound dumbbell and just hoist it for an hour straight. And it's fun, it's different, and it's exciting, And after I do this for a bit, I'm probably not gonna do this every day, but I'll do it from time to time. And afterwards, it's gonna freaking, resensitize my love for grabbing heavy steel and hoisting it as hard as I can. Because this is pencil neck shit. And it takes zero hoisting, Anyways, let's get to this video here. Whew. What do we got here? We got the freaking, damn it, I'm getting sidetracked. We got the freaking leaning cable laterals. Let's see what this is all about. Reps in reserve. Holy freaking buckets. Is anyone really going to 9 reps in reserve?
Possible. They push themselves in a more controlled way. Hard enough to maximize the muscle stimulus, but not so hard.
Okay, all right, here, let's start the video over again.
For workouts around what the science says is best for muscle growth. It's a relatively new style of training, the opposite of the more old school shut up and lift approach. Science-based lifters do optimized exercises, track their weight, and instead of always pushing their muscle.
I'm gonna stop right there. Science lifters do optimized exercise. There is no optimized exercise. There is no optimal exercise. It's all theory. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, in theory, this is optimal, but there's no black or white. It's not true. There's no optimal. You know what I'm saying? Optimal exercise selection doesn't exist. This is a facade. This is a fantasy, basically. These are optimal. It doesn't exist.
As hard as possible, they push themselves in a more controlled way, hard enough to maximize the muscle stimulus, but not so hard that you create too much fatigue. This is basically...
That sounds like pencil neck training. Not hard enough to create too much fatigue. All right. This is not knocking Jeff. This is just... None of this stuff is for Jeff per se. This is for the philosophy that this is like science-based training. Okay? What does it say? Not hard enough to create too much fatigue. All these, like, if we're going to talk about the science and all, with all this stuff these guys constantly talk about, it's like, you know, a new study comes out proving more is more. More volume equals more gains, and training to failure equals more gains. So what the frick are we talking about? Not pushing yourself too hard to create too much fatigue. That just goes against like what the science is saying. The only way that it wouldn't be going against what the science is saying, I guess, is if you spent like 8 hours in the gym. But even with that, I bet if they did a study on that, it'd be like, you know, Johnny Horsecock spent 8 hours in the game and made way better progress than Timothy Pencilneck, who did 45-minute optimal session. It's all just fabricated. It's all fabricated.
How I've trained for the last 10 years, but this style of training is clearly under.
Also, wasn't he in a powerlifting phase? So, like, he did not do this science-based. I'm sure he had it methodical, you know what I mean? And I feel like he's, like, I don't know, I didn't watch 10 years ago. But what I do remember is Jeff Nippard's always been a huge YouTuber. And from what I do remember in previous years was he was always doing, like, deadlifts and squats and trying to get a huge bench and stuff. I never saw this shit years ago.
Attack.
The big channels now are all about this.
Rick! They lost
I'm
sick!
tired of the whole science-based training movement.
I don't think science-based lifting is good, and I don't think it's a good idea.
I'll be honest.
You should have put the freaking Rick the Stick theme song over when that popped up. That would have improved his video tenfold.
I find these criticisms a little frustrating, but not for the reasons that you might think. You see, when you search science-based workout on YouTube, I'm the first result. If you search optimal training on TikTok, it's me again. So you might think these critiques frustrate me because an attack on science-based lifting is basically an attack on me, but that's not why. The real reason that I find these critiques frustrating is that they're not entirely wrong.
Oh!
I actually agree with some of the critiques about science-based lifting. So in this...
Well, there you go, brother. That's a man. Big man on campus. Jeff Nippard. What is he going to agree with? You know, it's not a bad thing, guys, to admit when you're wrong. And I'm not sure if he's going to admit when he's wrong, but if he's agreeing with some of the critiques, I'm itching to know what they are. Man, you telling me that what I'm doing right now is not optimal? Freaking get some Ricky's Rotund. I can't wait for when the science fanboys, and again, I'm not anti-science. It's the category of those people. And they're not science either. It's they're living in a theoretical fairy tale, not science. Menno Henselmans. I think he's science. The stuff I've watched, it's like, despite you feel this a lot in your glutes and all that, it doesn't matter what you feel. And it's like, hell yeah, brother. See, to me, that's science. Whereas all this kind of stuff, it's like, you know, you can have this horsecock bent over row, heavy as shit, but that's not optimal because you don't feel anything. What it feels is pulling it to your back pocket. It's a hybrid pullover. It's a hybrid dumbbell pullover low row combo. S tier, most optimal. Do you feel that? It's like, oh yeah, really, you feel it. I can see it, like, pull it, I feel it. Yeah, and if you, here, you don't have to, it takes your biceps out of it. Definitely S tier for the lats. It's like, brother, I just made that shit up. You know what I'm saying? But if I made a video and stuff, talking about how this is, you know, optimal, and squeeze it, and slow. And squeeze it, and slow. I bet the video will get 1 million views. Oh my God. I've never thought of that. Yeah, anytime I pull, I feel it in my biceps. Maybe in my upper back. I never feel it in my lats. It's like, brother, I just conned your ass. Woo!
Video, I want to set the record straight. I'm going to show you all the things everyone thinks are science-based that I actually disagree with. And then I'm going to show you the few things that are truly science-based and that I do agree with. And by the end of the video, you'll know exactly which aspects of science-based lifting you need to pay attention to and which aspects you can ignore.
What the fuck is that? Was that a real thing? Is that a real? I hope that's one of the things that you can ignore. The lying flat kettlebell curl.
Let's start with the most popular science-based lifting advice, that slow negatives are better for muscle growth. Anytime I hear anyone talk about science-based lifting, the first thing I hear is that you need to slow down the negative, that part of the lift where you're lowering the weight back down.
Bro, you're not going to say that this is not what you coined. He says that he's Mr. Science, Mr. Optimality, but I would disagree. I mean, yes, he pops up on the algorithm or whatever, but the ones that I think are like having the most successful, trillion views every single video, every single day, is Renaissance Periodization, Dr. Mike. And I'm not going to say I've watched a million of his videos, but I've watched videos with you guys. You can go back and let's watch the videos together. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't like one of the main things every freaking rep of every freaking set, like with Chris Williams or whatever, benching one plate for an hour? Slow, 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 slow. Yes. All right. Slow, 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 slow. Like by the 10th rep, it's like slow as if another slows. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure like that's the only cue I can think of, as if another and slow, 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 slow. Like that's literally all I can think of when I watched his videos. So I don't know what we're talking about.
But do slow negatives actually build more muscle? Well, let's see. This study had people...
I'm gonna say no. Because I did this. I did slow negatives for years. Charles Poliquin. And I'm sure before him was someone else that was preaching it. And it's just like the power factor training. Like when you read it, it's like, holy shit, that makes a ton of sense. Yes, the eccentric phase, you're much stronger, you can handle more weight, right? So why not get, if it's about time under tension, why not get more freaking time under, you know what I'm saying? You can get more time under tension with the slow negative. And then you do it, and then you look in the mirror month after month after month, like, holy buckets, I'm a bit of a pencil-neck. And your hoisting abilities plummet. Because I'll say something right now, like, it's like, yes, you can move bigger weights in the eccentric phase, but that's assuming that to get stronger, you would only do like an eccentric and then you would rack it, you know what I mean, to move bigger weights. Because, yeah, you can handle more weight here, but what happens when you have to press it back? You know what I'm saying? So you can only handle more weight in the eccentric. Like the only weight you're gonna have, unless you have people like forcing reps out, helping you with the concentric phase, is you're limited by the ability of what you can with your concentric phase. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say there's no time or place for slow reps. I think there are. You would watch me at the beginning of workouts and you'd say, you're the pencil neck, Ricky, because I will do like, one plate or so, and I'll freaking feel it, or like on the squats, definitely on squats, like super slow, pause on the bottom, super slow down. So warming up, I think it's important. Also, I think there's a time and a place to do super slow reps. Like Ed Cohn, one of the greatest powerlifters of all time, was a huge fan of doing ultra slow reps, like in the squat, for instance. And his philosophy behind that was that so you're aware of where you are in every phase of the lift. Because like strength, a lot of it's like neurological efficiency. You know what I'm saying? Like the stronger your nervous system gets, like the more comfortable this movement pattern is, the stronger you're gonna get. It has almost nothing to do. I mean, yeah, obviously more muscle, more size is gonna equal greater strength. But there's a reason that a lot of like Olympic lifters aren't super jacked, and a lot of the power lifters that have to cut weight and stuff like that, they're not big bulbous behemoths, even though they can move tons of freaking poundage, but they're strong as shit because they're just neurologically ultra efficient with those movements. It's like a sport. Like you're gonna get stronger and faster at your sport the more you do it because your body gets more comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Like if you go ice skating for the first time, how fast do you think you're gonna be able to skate on the ice? You know what I mean? Not fast at all. Does that mean that you don't have the ability to be explosive? No, your body's not comfortable with that movement, with that freaking particular skill. But as you do it day after day after day, like, holy buckets, I got so much faster. It's like, well, what do you attribute it to? Were you doing science-based training? It's like, no, I just did it more. You know what I mean? All right, we're never gonna finish this video, are we?
Will train their biceps with preacher curls for 7 weeks. One group did a normal 1 second negative. The other group did a slow 4 second
A
negative.
normal 1
7
second
weeks.
negative, is that a 1 banana count? I'm already gonna go out and say 1 banana is superior mode of training. For the eccentric, that is. Every video ever we've watched of anyone, and even if you like, for the fellas that just hoist lots of weights and stuff, be conscious, like 1 banana, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it could be a 2 bananas, so it's like a total of like one banana, 2, you know what I'm saying? Like 1 banana down, you know, shoot, explode with a banana coming up, and they with a bit of a pause at the top. So it's like a 2 banana total rep. 2 banana rep, you know, 1 banana eccentric or so, with like about a half a banana, maybe 3/4 banana exploding up with a slight pause at the top, and then that's tried and true, guys. But here we have a freaking 1 banana negative versus a 4 banana. Okay.
Both groups grew the same amount of muscle. The study had people do squats with either a 2 second negative or a slow 4 second negative. Both groups grew the same amount of muscle.
Yeah, slightly more muscle.
People do leg extensions, 1 leg.
I know, like in science, like it's a non-factor, like it's insignificant when it's like not a huge percentage difference. But don't you guys find that comical? Like it's the 2 second versus the 4 second. The 2 second was higher. So theoretically, I know it's like in scientific terms, it's an insignificant difference. But theoretically, the 2 second grew like that much more muscle on the bar graph. And it may not seem like much over the course of whatever this study was, you know, 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever it was. But what about over the course of 4 years, 8 years, 12 years? Does this little difference compound interest, you know what I'm saying? Better and better and better, like more and more growth because of that slight difference. Guys, all it takes is a spark to create a freaking raging inferno. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just like, it's like anything you do. If you know, like you're not gaining any freaking muscle, any mass, all it takes is that like a little bit of a surplus. You know what I mean? Like creatine, creatine doesn't do a whole lot. It only helps you squeeze out maybe at 1 or 2 extra reps. It's like, that's not a lot, brother. 1 or 2 extra reps? Yeah, if you're looking at that over the course of like 4 weeks, then probably doesn't make too big of a difference. But 1 or 2 extra reps, say you're doing 300-ish workouts a year, okay? Say you're doing even just that, 300 extra workouts. Well, nobody just trains for 1 year. I mean, listen, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So over freaking 10 years, 300 extra or 300 workouts, even if it was 1 more rep a workout, 10 years, that's 3,000 more reps, but you're not just doing 1 exercise and 1 set. You know what I'm saying? Say you're doing 50, or I don't even know, say you're doing 20 sets a week. 20 sets a week, and you get 1 extra rep. All right, it's starting to be too much calculated. But if you did 20 sets a week, and you got 1 extra rep out of the 20 sets, you got 20 extra reps a week. Times, say you worked out, or say 50, yeah, no, the math is too much. 50, 20, what was that? I'm an idiot. 50, 100, 1,000. You got 1,000 extra, is that right? I can't concentrate. I got the riches of tons flowing, I'm sweating. My biceps are getting pumped up the wazoo. Was it 2,000? I don't know. 2,000 extra reps or something like that a year from the little spark. So you look at that freaking bar graph, and you're like, that's not significant. It's like, brother, if it's 1 more rep, it's significant. We're never gonna get through this video.
At a time. One leg used a normal 1 second negative, the other leg used a slow 3 second negative. Both legs grew the same. That's 3 studies.
Whoa!
At a normal
Look at that!
1 to 2 second negative.
I thought it was that one was even bigger.
As a slower 3 to 4
That graph
second
was even, that bar graph was
Some
even
objects,
bigger.
Like Israel preaches slow negatives.
I don't know how I missed that the first one. He had the 3 or whatever. And this one looked even more significant. I don't even freaking know what we're doing here. You know, Jeff is a stand-up guy. he's making these videos, and he's like, you know what? Some people are right about this, and I get it. And but I feel like when he makes these videos, it's just like, and this is why I guess he's a stand-up guy. Like, it's like it almost defeats his arguments. I feel like it's almost like, you know, major respect to you, brother. Your video, the last couple videos you made, have like totally sold me against science-based training.
He's an expert.
Slow.
What is slow? Oh my God! I told you.
Mike is an expert, and I value his
I
opinion.
told you.
Come on.
I said his only cue is slow. Holy
And
bananas!
give him a call and ask him why.
So, Mike, based on the workouts we've had together, I've gathered that you like to use slower negatives. Could you explain your rationale behind that?
Yeah, that's a good question. There are a few layers of rationale. It's a little bit nuanced, and so sometimes I think I get understandably kind of interpreted by other people as like just carte blanche advocating slow negatives. A lot of people will assume that I think there's a direct hypertrophy benefit to them, and I don't think that. But there are some.
Bro, I swear that you said it's builds a ton more muscle. I swear, like those words. I said, Dr. Mike builds a ton more muscle.
Good reasons to use a slower negative. I can tell you, like, okay, slowing down your negative doesn't.
The only people that I think that should like use slow negatives in all their training, first and foremost, if you're recovering from an injury and you can't use a lot of weight, you might as well make that shit slow. You can't do a lot of weight, so just slow it down. It makes it hard. And I've heard like I saw a different video he did where he's talking like FUAD or something. And I've seen him say this in other videos too. It's like, you don't need a lot of weight. You put 225 in the bar and I can kick your ass. It's like, brother, that's not even anything to brag about. I ran a ladies boot camp class. You know, back when I was a trainer, one of the things I had to do was like boot camps, like 4:30 in the morning or whatever. There's like no weights to even use. And I had people cry and quit and never come back because you just have them do, you know what I mean? Like you can make anything hard with no weights. It's like, just put 225 in the bar, I'll kick your ass. Like, yeah, I would think so, dude. If you're doing ultra slow reps and ultra high reps with super slow tempo, yeah, anything can be hard, man. Have you ever held a freaking like push up for as long as you can? But it's just a push, yeah. But if you hold it for freaking 3 minutes, your muscles are gonna be screaming. You know what I'm saying? So like slow reps, I think the only people that should, if you're gonna use them like predominantly in your training, is if you're recovering from an injury, or if you're trying to learn a technique, for instance, like you're doing like a deadlift and it's like, oh, I need to learn how to hinge. I'm gonna go really slow so I can feel my body moving through space. Like, okay, now when I get to this point, I gotta break at my knees, right? Ingrain the movement pattern. And for like when you warm up, do the slow reps too, because then just like pause and just get everything loose as a goose. But to only, I mean, that's, all right, I already made my point. There's zero chance we're getting through this video.
Directly causing.
Mr. Beefy is looking outside. He's gonna start yelling at me any second to go out. Mr. Beefy, don't even think about it, brother. Because here's the deal, when I let Mr. Beef out, he might take a quick tank, but then he's gonna come back, he's gonna barks to get treats to come back in the house. He's playing me like a fiddle, you know?
Need more muscle growth. But it's.
But if I don't let him out, he's gonna pee on the floor probably. Frick! All right, I can't, it's not worth having him pee on the floor. Should I play this? I'm gonna play this so you guys have something. I just put the dumbbell down, son of a bitch.
Substantially safer. All of a sudden it's like, okay, so there's no downside really, but there's an upside of safety.
There
like,
is a
that's
downside. You
pretty
can't
cool.
hoist
That sounds
as
like an
much
interesting
weight.
thing to really think about. The
Your
other
strength
thing
is gonna
a
suffer.
lot of people have trouble with a mind-muscle connection. They
All right,
can't
talk
feel
about
their
that,
abs
right?
working, their biceps working, whatever their group they're doing. It's a situation, and the mind-muscle connection does not produce these.
I know that this is like, God, don't you guys think it's kind of ironic? And I know there's a place to throw exercises like this, but don't you think it's ironic that he had Jeff for this workout, and you see them just doing like, just like, I don't know, what was this, an arm day workout? You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, like fucking, I don't know. It's not like the most obscure exercises. Why? Because obscurity sells. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. This is the reason. This is the reason I think a lot of people are against the science-based training. And it's not because of science. I mean, some people might be weird like that, but it's not because of the science. It's because it's a trend. You know what I'm saying? Like trendy training. Like I think a lot of people have been doing it long enough. Like that's bullshit, man. Like theoretically, you can't do any cheat and stuff. So it's like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But like, don't tell me that if you're gonna rank exercises, this ranks superior to just grabbing a dumbbell and curling it. Isn't one of the things of ranking it like accessibility and stuff? You know what I mean? Here I need a freaking cable low row machine with a curl grip attachment, and yeah. Most people, I would say probably most people in the world don't have access to this stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, what about, everyone can go to Planet Shitness and stuff. Yeah, but what about all these other countries where they don't have Planet Shitness? You know what I mean? All they have is a freaking dumbbell. You know what I'm saying? Where all these exercises are cool in theory, but like the majority, like the pendulum squat. How many people have a pendulum squat they can use anywhere they go? Mr. Beefy, you make me put the dumbbell down. All right, one second, I gotta get the dog.
Crazy differences in hypertrophy. But in some individuals, it can produce substantial differences, small but notable ones, and that can help.
Just out of curiosity, like in your own training, how long?
So I can create small but substantial. Wasn't the small but substantial differences with the faster eccentrics on the bar graph? Those were small differences, but showing superior, not superior. I mean, because it was insignificantly statistically different, but still better gains with the faster eccentrics.
Would you say each negative takes you on average?
2 seconds, maybe?
Oh, really?
Okay.
2 seconds.
I mean, that's like 5 second negatives.
Well, yeah, it's not. It's just enough to control the load and enough for me to feel pretty safe.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're actually, there's not as much space between us as I
Was that 2
thought
second
on that.
eccentric or 2
I think
second
in our workouts, you probably
All right, just
instructed
maybe
me to
grab the
slow down
sausage,
because I am new to a lot of the
What is
techniques
this
that you guys use.
exercise, dude?
I think those are great reasons to use slower negatives. And like,
Okay, one sec. We're never gonna finish this video. It's gonna be part 2, isn't it? Holy buckets! Look at that thumbnail. Ah, Mr. Beef.
In our workouts, you probably instructed me to slow down because
Yeah, slow. That's all he ever says.
on average.
2 seconds, maybe?
Really? Okay.
Sorry, fellas. I know some people get really annoyed at this.
Situation. And the mind-muscle connection does not produce these crazy differences in hypertrophy.
Shit!
But in some individuals, it can produce substantial differences, small but notable ones, and that can help.
Just out of curiosity, like in your own training, how long would you say each negative takes you on average?
2 seconds, maybe?
Really?
I feel like this would be a great point to cut to one of his videos and see if that's true. Because, like, for instance, when they showed Jeff, when he was doing this, I don't even know, like bastardized skull crusher, like I guess it's like a JM press in a sense, but it was like with just child's play peanuts weight. I don't want to throw. If I have this photogenic memory, it was like 1 banana, 2 banana, 3, 4 banana, 5 banana. So it's like a 5 banana, wasn't it? And then it was almost like it was like a slow concentric too. So you just got, I don't know. If I had more time and whatnot, I would cut to one of his training videos. Like maybe that video he did with Alex Leonidas. That was the first video I ever watched with him, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. Or like Chris Williams, we watched that video with him benching. That would be another one to cut to. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. I can't cut that. I'm sorry, guys. 2 seconds, though. I don't know if I buy that. And if that is true, I don't think he practices what he's preaching, because Jeff just showed a video cut into being trained by Dr. Mike, and he had like 6 verbial slows. Like if it's a 2 second negative, you're not saying slow 6 times in a row. Do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like with these studies coming out, I'm sure if Jeff is throwing them in the video and all that, I'm sure Dr. Mike has seen them. And I feel like now this is kind of just like, what is it, damage control? It's like, well, yeah, you want to go slow because there's just no reason not to go slow. But I don't go that slow. You know, yeah, you do, brother. You know what I mean? I don't know. Whatever, who cares? At the end of the day, it's not my battle to fight. I just get a kick out of these videos. Like I honestly, I didn't plan to be this invested in it and just this like hungry to watch this thing. But this is what happens when I turn these videos on. You know, usually it's like, I give my thoughts. Like, okay, cool, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, good, all right, yeah, I agree with that. But then it starts getting like just sweating, perspirating, just like,
Yeah,
Up to
okay.
2 seconds?
That's,
Yeah.
really? Okay, that's not that slow though.
I don't believe
Well,
that.
yeah, it's not. It's just enough to control the load and enough for me to feel pretty safe.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're actually there's not as much space between us as I thought on
A
that.
2
I
second,
think
a
you know,
2-second
we're,
eccentric is just like
probably
normal.
instructed
One
me to
banana,
slow
two
down
banana,
because
one banana,
I
two
am new
banana,
to a lot
one
of the
banana.
techniques that you guys
Yes.
use. So I think those are great reasons to use slower negatives. And Mike and
That
I
was
are
a-
actually
that was a fat one
banana,
banana, 2 banana, 3.
Even though slowing down a negative can help you
This
lock your
one's not that
technique
slow.
better, for
One
sure.
banana, 2
I think we both agree that controlling
That's a
the
3
negative
banana
is
right
the
there.
most important thing. It doesn't necessarily need to be super slow. This year, I was an author on a scientific review of optimal lifting technique, and we found that as long as each rep lasts 2 to 8 seconds in total, you're good. So,
As long as each rep lasts 2 to 8 seconds, you're good. Okay, is that not like, when we watch all these bodybuilding things, Branch Warren and Jay Cutler and all that kind of stuff, it's a 1 banana eccentric, and again, maybe like a 1 total up and it's at the top, you know what I'm saying? Like the reps are like 1 banana, 2, like 1, and then it's 2 seconds. So like, this is what I've been saying this whole freaking time. And now he's got this study. It's like between 2 to 8 seconds. So just 8-second total rep. You save them for the warm-ups or like finisher or something like that. But yeah, it's like this is like just creating so much like confusion in noobs and perfectionist optimists or whatever. Like, oh, I need an 8. This set needs to be 8. It's like just lift the weight. And then each rep is about 2 seconds. We just lift the weight. Even me doing these curls right now, what am I even doing here? 1, 2, 1 banana, 2 banana, 3, 1 banana, 2 banana, 3. So 1 banana, 2 banana, 3. See, like I'm not even thinking. It's like it's just you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Like what are we overthinking everything? But again, the whole point of YouTube is to create content. So whatever. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that they do this because then it gives me easy content to talk about as well. So whatever floats your boat, brother. And it goes back to the pep talk that I said at the beginning anyways. Honestly, whatever you enjoy doing, that's gonna be perfect. If you wanna do an 8-second total rep, 6-second eccentric and whatnot, then freaking do it. If that's what you get excited for, and it's easier for you to make progress that way because you can document every little freaking nuance with your elbow, you know what I'm saying? Like then freaking do it, go for it, brother. I just think that the whole thing with the science base is that it's like optimal. It's not optimal. And I think that it's hilarious with all these new videos coming out because it's like even proving it's not optimal. It's optimal, science-based optimal training. And you're showing all these studies and stuff that are showing it does jack diddly. You know what I mean? Like, what was the other one? Does lengthened partials create more? And like for months and months, maybe even a year, it was like lengthened partials are superior for muscle gains. And I did a study and it's like, there was actually no significant difference between lengthened partials and full rod. It's like, what are we even talking about? For a whole year, what is it? It's just sensationalism of these ideas, this fantasy. And then these study after study comes out and it's showing it's freaking not true. So, but I'm glad it creates so much confusion then because it's just, it's an endless supply of content. You get what I'm saying? But that's just the world we live in.
Here's what you need to know. If your negatives last less than 1 second, they're too fast. You should slow them down and control the weight better. If your negatives last 1 to 7 seconds or so, you're in the sweet spot. In this zone, I think it's up to your personal preference how slow you go. But if your negatives last 8 seconds or longer, they're probably too slow, and you'd be better off speeding them up a bit. So I'm not quitting on slow negatives altogether, but I am putting the idea that you need to go really slow to maximize hypertrophy. Another very popular science-based trend involves technique tips and tweaks. The idea here is that you modify exercises in a specific science-based way, and you'll build more muscle.
You won't build more muscle. Holy buckets. My God. How many more studies do we need to come out to show that this shit doesn't build more muscle? I'm not going to attack this stuff I'm just gonna say, like the two things he just showed here, this freaking incline curl or whatever, and this, extension, like I'm not even against it, guys. Feels good, gets a nice nasty pump. But this shit doesn't replace the basic stuff. Like if you're trying to hit your freaking triceps, like, you know what I mean? Like dips, heavy like skull crushers, freaking overhead, you know what I mean, with the dumbbell, go heavy with those suckers. After you do that stuff, then you throw the icing, you know what I'm saying? Icing finisher like that, you know what I mean? Yeah, barbell curl, dumbbell curl, and then when you want to finish it off a little bit, freaking, you go the incline curl, lighter weight, pencil neck shit, and maybe cable curl to finish it up. Just like every bodybuilder's been doing since the dawn of man. You know what I mean? Because it works. The pencil neck shit, the angled cables and all that are not mass builders. You know what I'm saying? But tension's tension. No, it's not. Those are pump. They're freaking like feel good pump exercises. Squeeze and all that. Mind muscle connection exercises. But the freaking mass builders since the dawn of man are like heavy dips, close grip bench, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. I use some of these little tips and tweaks myself, like setting the seat back on leg extensions, staying in the stretched half on calf raises, and raising the cable height on lateral raises. But it goes well beyond that. You cannot open social media without being flooded with a new spin on a common exercise. So the question is, are these tips and tweaks actually science-based? And how much of a difference do they actually make? Well,
come on, brother.
Behold!
Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max.
This is so cool.
It's just the beginning. The ultimate bundle for an unbelievable price.
Getting a swag, holy buckets.
I think it depends on the specific tip in question. Some of these tips do work and are based on some direct, peer-reviewed evidence. Some of them might work, but are based on more indirect evidence. Some probably don't work at all, or at least aren't based on any science. So, to make this as clear as possible, I made this table. I took every cue I could find on social media and put them into one of three categories. Cues that work and are based on science, cues that might work and are based on indirect evidence, and cues that probably don't work, or at least don't have any science behind them. I included the scientific reference for cues that have one, and I'll highlight all the cues that I actually do myself in blue, so you can pause and screenshot if you want to read. But the reality is, all of these tips and tweaks, every one of them, even the science-based ones, will have a relatively minor impact on your gains. And none of these tips and tweaks are as important as simply pushing yourself hard and doing enough volume. But that's just...
shit, of course I paused it right when the table disappeared. Oh, come on.
Will have...
What is some of this stuff? Curling the bottom half is better than curling on the top half on preacher curls. Isn't that just the length of partial? What is this? Just random shit he grabbed from Instagram or whatever? Is that what he said? I see. Based on science. But then again, it's whatever, different strokes for different folks, you know what I mean? Like if one thing works better for some people, it's not to say that something else won't work better. You know what I mean? Like again, I don't know, is there really a point to go through all this kind of stuff? Like burnout sets, maybe worse for growth, over 40 to 50. Probably doesn't matter, no evidence. I think there's a lot of people that will cause some sort of systemic shock, you know what I mean? Even if it's pretty funny because I've seen stuff too where it's like, doing a million reps might cause some edema, and that's where the size gauge comes from, or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, if you're doing your arms like every other day or every 3 days or something like that, and you got some sick, swollen edema, who gives a shit what it is? You know what I mean? Like, made your arms bigger. So why discount it? You know what I mean? And then once the inflammation goes down, then you're back to being a pencil neck. So then you hit another freaking burnout set of 100, massive swelling, inflammation, edema, right? That's how when you have freaking, don't even get started with the blood flow restriction, you put freaking 2 inches on your arms and you do that shit for a million reps.
have a relatively minor impact on your gains.
Where are we at here? What are we even talking about, bro?
The science-based lifting. Science-based lifting has become synonymous with perfect technique in general. Let me prove that to you.
Which of these two techniques looks more science-based to you? I'm doing perfect, strict technique on the left, and Sam is doing loose, cheating technique on the right. Most people would say that my technique is more science-based. But why? As of now, there's never been a study comparing strict technique to loose technique. Future science could show that loose cheat reps.
I feel like that's another reason that people bash it, is because it's not even about like whose technique. Like, let's just go back again. Because we're never gonna get through this shit.
Most people would say that my tech.
Fuck the technique. Don't even worry about it. Look at how much his face is scrunching. Look at how freaking red he is. That's effort. That's effort. This is no effort, okay? Like if you have perfect form and all that, like, oh, I'm starting to have some breakdown. You're just literally not putting any effort in. And yeah, it takes effort to curl a dumbbell. Nobody's saying it's zero effort. This is just noticeably more effort than this is. So what's gonna give you better gains? Noticeably more effort's gonna give you better gains. Right? Let's take the freaking mechanics even out of the equation. He's trying a shit ton harder. He's gonna see better gains.
Technique is more science-based. But why? As of now, there's never been a study comparing strict technique to loose technique. Future science could show that loose cheat reps actually cause more growth than perfect strict reps. We don't know. And until that study comes out, it'd be misleading to say that perfect strict form is more science.
We're never gonna get through this. I'll keep pausing every second. Okay, well, another thing is too, you should do both. So that's another thing with these people that watch these videos, like, oh, I gotta cheat my every set. It's like, just do fucking both. It's not rocket science. Warm up with perfect technique. Okay, your next set, grab heavier dumbbells. Your next set, grab heavier dumbbells. Your last set, grab heavier dumbbells. And you won't be able to use perfect technique anymore, so use a little bit of this. A little bit of this. And if you have to, on the last couple reps, if you don't have anything left, you do a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? And you do a lot of it. And then people only see that last set, like, oh my God, that's how I have to do curls. Like, yeah, you didn't see the fucking 20 other sets of perfect form. You do both.
Based. Luckily, we won't have to wait very long for that study because I'm helping run it now at Lehman College in New York. Now, of course, when you do any exercise, there are a few basic.
I mean, kudos to Jeff, man. He's like funding all these studies and stuff, and it's just like, you know, you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, looser form is greater gain. It's like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. So now, cheat rep, it's like the science-based lifting is eventually going to turn into ego lifting. That's going to be the new science-based lift. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny how it's going to go from one extreme to the other. Yeah.
Technique guidelines that you should follow so you can do the exercise safely and effectively. For example, on a squat, you don't want to fall backward or fall forward, so you should try to keep the bar in line with the middle of your foot. You should try to keep a relatively neutral spine, although a little butt wink at the bottom isn't worth freaking out about. And you should get as deep as you comfortably can, because squatting deep does seem to cause more quad growth and glute growth. But the exact angle you point your toes in, the specific stance width you take, and whether you put your thumb on top or bottom will, in all likelihood, have a very small impact on your gains. These things can help you feel more comfortable with the lift, but the reality is, if you're in the gym squatting with a high effort each week, your legs are going to grow. The same goes for the lat pull down. Many science-based lifters.
Same goes for any fucking exercise. A high amount of effort, you're gonna see some growth.
Think that if they just take the perfect grip width.
That's pencil neck shit. There's no perfect grip width. The whole idea of perfect is, again, it's a facade. Do what feels good. Do what feels good while you push the weight as hard as you fucking can.
Point their elbows in exactly the right direction. They're gonna unlock a whole new level of gains.
Pencil.
Probably not. Grab the bar, lock yourself into the seat, pull the bar down to your chest, control the weight on the way up, and push the set hard. If you do that, your back is going to grow, and technique refinements beyond that are ultimately just guesses. I personally don't have a problem with people making those guesses, especially if they're educated guesses.
Dude, perfect technique. I mean, there's nothing else to even add to this. Warm up with perfect technique, no cheat. As it gets harder, start to use some freaking cheat and some sway. You know what I mean? Perfect technique breaks down into cheat. It's like the best of both worlds. Like the fact that this is even a topic is just ludicrous.
Nothing wrong with telling someone to take a closer grip to target their lats from a different angle, or to lean back a bit more to target the mid-back.
What are we?
If we're being real,
Fucking
pretty
hour
much
in.
all of training technique is so much more of an art than it is a science, at least for now. But coaching should be a blend of science and experience, so that's okay. But there's an element of perfect technique that isn't okay, and it's this unrealistic expectation that there should never be any change in your technique from your first rep to your last rep. Let's say on rep 1, you get the bar all the way down to your chest. By the time you get to rep 10, you can't quite get the bar all the way down, it's about 1 inch away. That means rep 10 looks a little different from rep 1. So, as a science-based lifter, you end the set there. But if you do that, you're leaving quite a few reps in the tank. In my opinion, just because the range of motion...
And that's where the whole freaking generalization that science-based training doesn't train hard. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's not like any specific person, but it is because of that school of thought. Like, as soon as you reach mechanical failure, stop the set. You know what I mean? I swear to God, I've watched one of these videos where that was said. I think it was a Dr. Mike one. You know what I mean? As soon as there's any mechanical failure, stop the set. And then, because then you can take a rest, and you can come back to do perfect reps again. And as soon as there's any mechanical failure, you stop the set, because you can get all perfect reps while I get any bad. And I swear to God, I watched the video where that's what he said. But then, like, now we're going against that all of a sudden. Now it's that there should be some breakdown, which there should. You know what I mean? Like, depends on the exercise too. Bench pressing, yeah, probably keep your form pristine because it's very susceptible to injury with shitty loose form on benching, right? Same thing with squatting. Like, try to keep your form pretty pristine on that. But like, I've learned at a very young age, pulling motions like this, like, it's very hard to get hurt on them. Not to say you couldn't, but it's very hard to get hurt. So you can go fucking balls to the wall with it. And like other machines and stuff where there's like no technique involved, just go balls to the wall with it. Do drop sets, force reps, all that kind of stuff.
With 1 inch less doesn't mean you need to terminate the set. That's why I love Sam Solik's style of lat pull downs, where he keeps going even after he can't complete a full rep.
Kudos
You're
to
pushing
Sam
really
Solik.
hard,
He's got his
some
own
your reps
style of
might
training.
Look a little ugly. In my book, that's totally fine, but I do think you should still keep your form somewhat consistent from week to week for tracking progress. If your technique gets sloppier and sloppier over time, you'll still make gains, but you're probably not progressing the target muscle as much as you think. Now, out of everything, science-based lifting is most famous for optimal exercises. Optimal exercises claim to be better for muscle growth based on science.
We could probably honestly stop the video here. It's gonna be hard to get through. We got 8 more minutes left. I think we got through 9 minutes and an hour, so it's got another hour of it, but I already talked about this at the beginning. There's no optimal, right? There's only optimal for you, right? If some stuff, even if there's only optimal for a small window of time, like, oh, this is really good, but after a while, it's like, all right, you go back to the basics, oh, this is way better. But that was good because it taught me how to freaking, like feel my glutes or something like that, right? But you can't just say that this is better for everyone.
Scientific studies. But what are those studies exactly? Well, let's see by comparing 2 very different back exercises.
Holy
The
macaroni.
half-kneeling, one-arm cable lat pull.
You're 100% going to get more jack, stack, succulent, and dense doing this than that. This is a real bread and butter movement. This is an icing on the cake finisher, all right? Not to say this doesn't have its place, but I mean, maybe you can start your workout, like get some freaking lat engagement, feel his lats, get them pumped up, go do the real exercise, or you horsecock some megaloads with this, and just to get a nice, juicy, delicious pump finisher, you do something like that.
Down and the bent over barbell row. Most people think of the one-arm cable lat pull down as the more science-based exercise, and the barbell row as the more...
Well, why would most people think that, brother? Is it your freaking tier system that you came up with, saying that was S tier and this was Z tier?
or hardcore exercise. Maybe that's understandable. After all,
It's not hardcore, it's just a real freaking exercise. One of the proven decade after decade.
in my back tier list video, I put the one-arm half
Chin-ups. I forgot about that. Holy macaroni. T-bar row, all this stuff. And then, yeah, nice, unreal.
kneeling lat pull down in S tier, and the barbell row in B tier. And that led to reactions like this one.
That's S tier! That's S tier! That is not S tier.
think I just had that reaction right now, didn't I?
That reaction kind of makes sense, honestly, because the way I rank these exercises, many people
Kudos to that editor. The slow motion and just the bewilderment. Excellent. Well done.
understandably thought that I think you build a bigger back with a one-arm cable pull down than with the barbell row. But I don't think that, and I didn't think that when I made the tier list video.
Bro, you could have fooled me, dude. Everyone ever watching it, it's like, oh, I feel way more, and it's tension's tension, and it doesn't matter, whatever creates more tension. What? Since when was these tier lists not about what builds more muscle and what's better? What? But anyways, kudos to him for making this video. I will say, Jeff's a big man. He's a good guy. He is a good guy. And I'm not bashing him. I'm really not. It's the school of belief or whatever. It's the followers and stuff that are. But you know what? Why do I even care? I don't care. This is just good content.
If you were forced to do just one of these exercises for the rest of your life, I would 100%
Hell yeah,
pick the barbell.
brother.
That's because
But then that tier list is super confusing. Why would you if you could only do one exercise the rest of your life, why would the one that you should do be beer, shit. The one that you should do be B tier, and the other one that's S tier you shouldn't do. If you get what I'm saying? Isn't that freaking confusing?
it's a compound movement that'll activate all the muscles in your
Booyah! Exploding shirt, tie-dye, back density.
By contrast, the one-arm lat pull-down will specifically isolate one muscle in your back, your lats. These are different tools for different jobs. I picked the barbell row if I was training someone limited on time and who needed to get the most bang for their buck. Especially pick it if they were trying to get stronger. But I picked the one-arm lat pull-down for someone who's already hit their basic compound lift and needed a little extra volume for their lagging lats. That one-arm lat pull will add more lat volume for basically no fatigue. It's perfect for that. The reason I put the barbell row in B tier is because I think there's a better tool for the same job. The deficit Pendlay row does the same job as the barbell row, plus a bigger stretch and a more standard.
I'm a little confused about that. Theoretically, I understand the range of motion's bigger, but all I see here is a deeper bend in his knees, which makes no difference for his back. So, if you would ask Dick Delhagen, I would say just do the easier one to do. I mean, if you want to strengthen your deadlift, then do this then. But if we're just talking about purely for a delicious back builder, just do a bent over row. Like literally, you can just see it. This is just you know what I mean? This is a deeper bend in his knees. The angle of his back is exactly the same.
Range of motion. And a chest-supported machine row does the same job as the barbell row, but with more stability and less fatigue. In retrospect,
I think that's. I get it. One will build fucking horsepower and mass, and will get all your back musculature firing up the wazoo. Your spinal erectors will be working. You can strengthen your body as this freaking chain. The way these all connect, like not a single weak link in your chain. Why wouldn't you do that? Or you can do the machine, so you can have a pencil neck, lower back musculature, you know, just a weak hip hinge, and just do the lats. And I feel like, listen, again, not to knock a T-bar row. Throw it in, but don't just think, well, this is superior because I don't need to use my lower back. Like last time I checked, even for Johnny bodybuilders, like your spinal erectors and your Christmas tree and all that are important in your development, in your physique. So fucking train them.
I just wasn't clear enough on what the tiers meant. So a lot of people thought that the S tier exercises were the most science-based exercises. A tier exercises were a little less.
That's what people
science-based,
thought?
and
That's
B tier
not the
below were
case?
Basically just bro science.
Is that not
That's
the
not true though.
case?
There's honestly just not much science on exercise selection at all. It may shock you to learn that there's never been a single study that has measured back muscle hypertrophy.
I bet he's gonna say until now. I'm funding this study. Let's see. I hope he is. Because kudos to him, man. Like, I don't know if it's expensive to fund studies, but you know, he's trying to find the answers for everything, and he's a big man. He's like, when the shit's like, yes, long lengthy partials aren't superior. I mean, he's like, well, fuck, I funded this study. I guess I might as well show the results.
Correctly. Not one. There's just biomechanics research and EMG studies. And we don't even know if EMG predicts hypertrophy. So my tier list rankings mainly came from indirect evidence and personal experience. And now, having done the series,
I think it'd be more accurate to think of the tier list as going from slightly more effective to slightly less effective. But you need to realize that as long as you take any exercise to failure, or close to failure, that exercise will build muscle. From there, you can fine-tune things based on stretch, tension, overload, and what feels good. But I do think the exact exercises you pick are less important than simply training hard and doing enough volume. Training hard and doing enough volume is what hypertrophy science is really all about. I mean, just look at all the hypertrophy studies on training volume.
Did he say that's what science is, science is all about? Isn't that just fucking training?
Boom. Compare that to all the hypertrophy studies on the optimal bench angle for pec growth. So, I'm going to go a little deeper on these two topics, training hard and doing enough volume. When it comes to training hard, this is what the science shows. The latest meta-analysis took 15 studies, pulled them together, and compared the muscle growth from groups going to failure versus groups not going to failure. And this graph shows their overall findings. As you can see, as you get closer and closer to failure, you do get more muscle growth. But there's a point where too much failure training can cause recovery issues. I think as long as you're getting one...
Brother, this is just so ridiculous. Like all like the, I want to train like 3 reps at reserve and all that. Don't go to mechanical failure. It's like one of the studies like, yeah, train to failure to see more gains. So make sure you don't go too hard. Yeah, well, maybe you'll just need more recovery. You know what I'm saying? But if it's more gains, then do it. Eventually you'll adapt to it. It's like, I will always remember one of these seasons when I was in college wrestling. It's probably like my senior year because I was trying my hardest because I wanted to be a success, you know what I'm saying? And I was fucking team lift, doing lift on my own. Sometimes we'd have 2 practices a day, or you'd have conditioning on top of practice. Like, holy buckets, it was so much shit. And I'll never forget. Like, I just like couldn't get out of bed. Like, I like lay down. I got home to nap, and I couldn't get up because I had to go back to practice. I just remember how crazy. I'm so tired. But you know what? You know, week after week, eventually you just get used to it. You know what I'm saying? Your body adapts, man. Your body's a pretty amazing thing. So yeah, you might be doing too much, but it's only too much for that time. Eventually you're gonna build up better work capacity, you're gonna get used to it, and then you can throw more at it.
Into 3 reps shy of failure, you're good. But the problem is, if you always leave 3 reps in the tank, you might accidentally be leaving 5 or 6 reps in the tank without realizing it. That underexertion will cost you gains. So I like to play it a little safe and get a little closer to failure than I probably need to. I usually leave 1 or 2 reps in the tank on most sets, and then push my last set all the way to failure.
It's common sense, guys. Like, if you're benching, like, if it's the speed ain't there and you know you can't do another one, rack it. You know what I'm saying? But if it's a fast one, do another one. Do another one until it's like, okay. It's pretty easy to tell, you know? That's the way you should, like, that's the fucking secret, man. Unless you're training for strength, then it's just like purely for strength, like singles. You know what I mean? Singles. If you want a big max on your deadlift or something, then just practice maxing on your deadlift. Specificity is king.
I mean, it's an exercise I can fail safely on. How hard you push is your training quality. How many sets you do is your training quantity. You need both quality and quantity for maximum gains. So, for maximum gains, how many sets should you do? Well, in the research, this is called training volume, and it's the number of hard sets you do per muscle per week. For example, if you do 5 sets for your chest per week, you do low volume training. If you do 10 sets for your chest per week, you do moderate volume training. And if you do 20 plus sets for your chest per week, you do high volume training. I'd call 30 plus sets per muscle per week ultra high volume training. And luckily, we now understand the relationship between volume and muscle growth so much better than ever before. A brand new training volume meta-analysis was just published a few weeks ago with a ton of super impressive data.
Let me guess, more sets equals more growth because more is more and more has always been more?
Data analysis. Across 35 studies, they found that doing more volume did, in fact, cause more muscle growth. And that was true all the way up to 42 sets per muscle per week. That's an insanely high, borderline.
Did they even go higher than that out of curiosity? Or is that just the highest they went? Because who's to say that even more? You know what's funny, guys? I just started, it's only been like a week, but I wanted to see, because remember the first program I ever did was the Arnold Encyclopedia Bodybuilding program when I was a kid, and I wouldn't even follow it right because I didn't know how to squat or deadlift or anything. And last year, I did the basic training with it. I did it for like a month or so, and then I got sick of it, so I stopped doing it. Because listen, there's no perfect program. There's only a perfect program for you. The perfect program for you is what you're enthusiastic and excited to do. So once I wasn't excited and enthusiastic to do anymore, I didn't want to do it anymore. So now, just the past week, I started doing the advanced program. Not two workouts a day though, because that's just stupid. Who has time for that? But I am doing, and it's like almost 50 total sets per workout, which is bananas. That's hard. I've never been that sore in my entire life. But this is this book's been around forever, and it's like we're trying to reinvent the wheel. Not to say that it's the greatest program ever, but like this program is literally exactly, it's like that. Doing that Arnold program now and then seeing this is like, I think the style of training's been out forever. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to reinvent the wheel and do something new and exciting and all that, but like there ain't no reinventing the freaking wheel. You know what I mean? Arnold Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. If you want volume, hypertrophy, freaking, you know what I'm saying? Bodybuilding, density. But you can't make a muscle dense, Eric! That was a real comment.
in practically a high level of volume, and the gains are diminishing. But it's nonetheless
But there's
true.
still more
The more
gains!
work you do, the better gains you get.
It only takes
at
a
least in the short
spark
run.
to
And that's
create
the crucial
a
caveat
flame.
with this research. It's still unclear how these different volumes play out over the long term. That's because most of these studies only last 6 to 10 weeks. So for 6 to 10 weeks or so, yeah, doing high volume causes more gains. But we don't know for...
Brother, listen here. I'll tell you right now. I can't say this with 100% conviction, but I think it's common sense, like, after you've done this for a while. Do your high volume, like, bodybuilding phase, and then do a low volume, high intensity power phase. You go back and forth between those, you got the best of freaking worlds. Because the stronger you get, your ceiling's gonna be higher to push more weight, bigger intensity, grow more freaking tissue. And then when you do the high volume stuff, you kind of got to deload from the ultra heavy max work, low reps. You get to do something new, it's exciting, and supposedly better for hypertrophy as well. So why wouldn't you just switch between this program for whatever, a few weeks, 6 weeks or whatever, and then the next one, or you can do it longer. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, if that's true over time. For that reason, I think the volume sweet spot is still in this range for most people. 8 to 20 sets per muscle per week. If you really want to bring up a lagging body part, like your chest for example, you could blast it with super high volume for a month or two, going as high as 30 sets per week. And as long as you reduce your volume for other body parts, you should recover fine and make some sweet gains. But remember, you don't have all day to train. Research still shows that even just 4 sets per muscle per...
Brother, 4 sets. Peter Pencil-like, lackadaisical, freaking lethargic couch potato training. Again, I've been doing this Arnold program. It's almost 50 sets, and I go with my wife, and she makes damn sure that we pick up our daughter in time from school. And I'm always flustered and like, frick! But we can't go. But I still managed to get through almost all of the sets within. Usually, it ends up being like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, that isn't all day to get that much volume in. So if you can get 40 to 50 sets in an hour and a half or so, and keep in mind, I'm trying to horsecock the biggest weights possible too. If I can do it, anyone can do it, okay? Because I'm trying to horse big loads, and it takes a long time to work up to those. So Peter Pencilneck with a 135-pound squat, yeah, he can be able to blast through the 4 freaking sets a week. Get your arse out of here, brother.
A week can get the job done as long as you push those sets hard. And if you take one message away from this video, I hope it's that your training doesn't need to be perfect to be effective. I know some people in my audience get paralysis by analysis.
Paralysis by analysis!
Every little thing about training before getting to work. I think it's cool to try to figure out every little thing. I do that myself.
I do too.
The reality is, the best program isn't always the most optimal one.
Yeah,
it's the one you'll
because
actually
optimal doesn't exist.
It's totally fine if you drop your strict RPE adherence and do some
Hell yeah,
shoelace
Jeff.
sets every now and then.
Yeah.
It's also totally fine if you do some workouts that are...
It's also cool if you just curl a 20-pound dumbbell for an hour and 20
It's cool if you do
minutes.
some cheat reps at the end of some sets because it helps you get in the zone. None of these things are in conflict with smart training because smart training is mostly about training hard and being consistent.
Yeah.
I start my new book, The Muscle Ladder, with a chapter on sustainability, and then there's a big chapter on mindset. These principles form the wheels of the ladder, and then all the other bit.
Good. I'm glad it's a big chapter because honestly, the mindset's the most important thing. I think it's the end of the video. Whatever. Yeah, he's talking about his book. That can't be anything more. Guys, your mindset really is the most important thing. It's going to the workouts with intent, with a mission, with a goal, to always take one step forward never take a step back. So even if your strength's not there, your workout feels like shit, you still have a chance to make it the best workout of your life by trying something that you wouldn't normally do. Like yesterday, you know, beating the skins, freaking, you know, like tired, exhausted, like, fuck, man, I still gotta work out. And I was working out, and it felt like shit. But I was like, man, my strength is zapped. It's not going the way I want. But it gives me an opportunity to think outside the box. And it's like, well, what if I did this frog stance, semi-sumo deadlift with 10 resistance bands on? And I'm like, holy shit, I've never felt a squeeze in my glutes like that before. And I never would have discovered this if I didn't think outside the box, if I wasn't having a shitty workout. Therefore, I didn't take a step back. I took a step forward in the overall grand scheme of things when it comes to horsecawkery, okay? It's freaking mindset, guys. If you have goals of putting only 5 or 10 pounds on your squat or something like that in the next year, you're gonna make no fucking progress because that's a piss poor goal. If you have the goal of putting 100 pounds on your squat within the next year, even if you fall short of it, because your expectations, your perception is reality, if your perception is you can fucking do this, you can get close to it. And even if you fall short, you still put 50 pounds on your squat versus Peter Penson, who only wants to put 5 pounds on his squat, and he fell short, and he put fucking Jack Diddley on his squat. You know what I'm saying? What does that come down to? Your fucking mindset, fellas. I gotta go pick up my wife and daughter.